Good morning, and welcome to another edition of United Way for Southeastern Michigan's What's the Word Wednesdays. My name is Courtney Howe, and today we'll be hearing updates on resources and programs that support our veterans and how you can access them. The last 10 minutes of today's conversation are reserved for questions, so please leave your questions in the Q&A box if you're watching on Zoom or in the comment box on Facebook. Now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Hudson, President and CEO of United Way, to share some more information about today's topic and speaker. Dr. Hudson?
Thank you so much, Courtney, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us here today as we talk about this important topic and this day of remembrance, which is Veterans Day. This is something that's very personal to me. I would like to thank the veterans who had a significant influence in my life, starting with my friend, Dr. Michael Casserly, who is the retired Executive Director of the Council of the Great City Schools, my late godfather, Eugene Curtis Davis. Both of them were Army veterans and served time in Vietnam. And last but not least, my father, who was in the Air Force. And from him, I've learned so much about discipline and hard work and perseverance. And I'm an administrator because of him. He's a retired health services administrator. And I think about how all three of them gave back to their communities, still give back to their communities, serve selflessly in all of the industries that they're in. And it's no mistake that they went into education and went into healthcare because that spirit of service really lives beyond their time that they serve in the military. So it's an honor to have this conversation with all of you today. I wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing here at United Way, and then I'll turn it over to our guest, Ryan Engle. At United Way and around the region, we are committed to supporting all of our community members and making sure they can meet their basic needs, that their households are stable, their children are thriving, and all of the communities that they're living in are equitable. But for our veterans, the reality is very different. We still have about 7% of our veterans across the U.S. who are living in poverty, and nearly 30% who are living with a disability. The needs that they have are unique, and it really is incumbent upon us to not only identify those needs, but to work together to be able to resolve them. They've earned that in the work that they provide and the service that they provided to our country. And so we are very pleased that Ryan Engle has joined us again. For now, this is the second year that we've had this special focus on highlight on our veterans. So I'd like to share a little bit about him, then give him the floor. Ryan is our partnership coordinator with the Veteran Affairs Agency. He focuses on building and cultivating strategic partnerships that enhance the lives of veterans and their families across the state of Michigan. Previously, he served as a leader within the Michigan Veterans Homes. And before that, he worked in supply chain operations management for a Fortune 500 company. He is a Marine Corps veteran. Ryan earned a bachelor's degree from the U.S. Naval Academy and a certificate in long-term care from Ferris State University. He also serves as a U.S. Naval Academy Blue and Gold officer, assisting with outreach and guiding aspiring candidates through their admissions process. He is married to a proud Army veteran and former Black Hawk pilot. Wow. And I have 3 young aspiring Marines, and he lives in Grand Rapids. So Ryan, we are honored to have you here today and look forward to all that you have to share with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hudson, and certainly thank the whole team at the United Way for Southeastern Michigan for this opportunity, today, but also the work you all do every day. And when I was asked to be able to share some of these resources and the importance of connectedness for veterans, of course, it's a no-brainer because there's so many out there that have to be reached, and so many veterans and families that don't know the benefits, resources, and how to get connected. So I appreciate that introduction and this opportunity, and certainly the work you all do. Next slide. Michigan is, of course, our home state as we're talking today, but of note is the 11th most populated state with veterans in the United States. 2020 data suggested over 567,000 veterans. So think about that number for a minute. How many of those folks are in your life and how many that are out throughout the state of Michigan? And that number doesn't include those family members that we all know service in uniform is not an individual. It is a family thing, and the spouses make sacrifices and the children make sacrifices, and it is truly a family endeavor. So that 567,000 does not account for those spouses and family members that sacrifice as well. Next slide. And as you can see here, the slide with kind of the green coloring talks about Michigan's veteran population. It's a little dated, and the slide with more of the red-orange coloring is more as a percentage of the demographic in total. So as I'm talking to this group, and specifically Southeast Michigan, I'm sure it's a known or assumed, but you know, the Tri-County area down there has the highest veteran population. It makes up almost a third total veterans. So a critical important area to us, agency, to reach and serve those men and women who've served us. Next slide. And I won't go into too much detail here. This shares some of the age distribution of the Michigan veteran population that we have, as well as the period of service demographic. And while those two kind of mesh, they're two different metrics. And I would say if there's anything to share or extrapolate from some of that data, it's that the veteran population here in Michigan is slightly older than that of the US veteran population overall, with a significantly higher portion of Vietnam veterans residing in this state. And that, of course, amongst our priorities is critical, as well as reaching those who so nobly served in Vietnam and were sadly welcomed home in less than desirable circumstances. And we have a purpose in Michigan and certainly throughout our country to make that right to the extent we can. So we strive to reach all of those Vietnam veterans who've served. Next slide. We're about 7% women veterans in Michigan, which I think is of critical importance. And I'll talk about that in my next slide. And 93% male veterans, obviously. But as an agency under Zanetta Adams' leadership, who took the helm in 2019 when appointed by Governor Whitmer, we've made it a point to ensure that we are there to serve every veteran from every background, from every religion, from every gender, from every sexual orientation, from you name it. We know they stood to serve. We want to ensure we reach every veteran that has served us, because we believe it's of critical importance that a veteran who has a women veteran, an underrepresented population, a minority veteran. We know that tribal veterans, for example, serve at higher rates than any other group of veterans, yet are often lesser connected to benefits. So it's of critical importance to us that we reach each and every Michigan veteran with the benefits and resources they earned in service. Next slide. This is actually what I just talked about. Every background, every color, every gender, every religion, every walk of life, in every phase of life for every need. And what I like to highlight too is every earned benefit. There's sadly sometimes this perception that veterans should only reach out or pursue the benefits earned in service when they're at a critical need in their life, or they have a physiologically unmet need, if you will. We don't believe in that. We believe that it's an earned benefit. And we want to be there to meet the needs and connect the veterans that are at times of need, but we also want to make sure those other veterans who might not be in dismal circumstances, but they earn benefits, and it's important that they connect to those benefits. Next slide. We were created about 8 years ago, to be the central coordination and connection agency for Michigan veterans and their families, because the challenge truly was, and sometimes is, if you don't know, is where as a veteran do I or we turn for assistance? How do I use my GI Bill? I'm homeless and looking for resources. Hey, we're an employer looking to hire veterans. Where do we go? Hey, I don't know. We don't run that program here. Sorry, we're closed. Hey, what benefits as a veteran might I qualify for? Next slide. And as you can see from this spaghetti diagram, there's a lot of those type of questions. So we were created to be that central coordinating agency, clearinghouse, if you will, that kind of connect as a funnel for all the federal, state, and local programs, and basically be a connecting resource for Michigan veterans and their families. And acting truly, and our mantra is being that no wrong door. When a veteran calls or reaches out to us, it might not be our program. We might not have the citation in federal statute that qualifies them for this and that, but we're going to connect them to the resources and people that they need to be connected to be served and to answer their questions. And we really take a lot of pride in that. Next slide. When we think veterans benefits in the veteran community, I think, the lion's share of that is often thought of through the federal government and through the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And certainly those programs are robust. In the Departments of Veterans Affairs, I'm sure I'm not telling listeners anything they maybe don't know, but you have the Veterans Benefits Administration, which has things like disability compensation, pension, fiduciary, education, for example, the GI Bill, the Veteran Readiness and Employment Program, which used to be vocational rehabilitation, the VA home loan benefit, insurance, appeals, all those different things. And then within the Veterans Health Administration, also within the Department of Veterans Affairs, you of course have the largest integrated healthcare system in the country, probably the world, with the network of VA medical centers, the community-based outpatient clinics, the women's clinic, the vet centers with mental health counseling and support, and the different homeless veteran programming. And then of course the National Cemetery Administration with the national cemeteries, the state cemetery grants throughout the country and the states, the headstones and markers, and the presidential memorial certificates. Next slide. And at the state level, I won't go into too much depth in the next several slides just due to time, but I want all veterans listening and family members to know that there's a number of state benefits and resources out there at the state government level that you should be aware of. And if you don't, you should call, or if you're not familiar with, you should call us. At the MVAA, we certify employers throughout the small, medium, and large-sized employers, or large-sized employers, public and private, both on different criteria, making them veteran-friendly at different levels from gold, silver. And then we've partnered with the Michigan National Guard, a sister entity within our department, to reach transitioning veterans across the country and really answer that question. Might not know they've asked, but we want to be the answer of why they might consider Michigan as the next great stop for their life when they hang up the uniform and they bring those skill sets to Michigan. Next slide. Amongst others, and this slide is not all inclusive, but our partners at the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity in Michigan government have Veterans Employment Services. That's a team of folks throughout the state that have veteran career advisors that work with individual veterans on overcoming barriers to employment, from coaching to assisting with resume development to you name it. And they also have veteran employment representatives. They're working with employers who want to hire veterans and then connecting job-ready veterans to those opportunities. They're a key partner of ours and certainly a critical resource for Michigan and Michigan veterans. There's a lot of other benefits, registered apprenticeships for veterans that want to use their GI Bill through registered apprenticeship programs instead of the four-year degree model. Excellent. There's teaching specific like reimbursement of certification fees. Some legislation that was passed earlier this year is licensing reciprocity, where veterans from other states can bring their professional state license in Ohio or Indiana or Virginia or you name it and bring it to Michigan. And the state of Michigan or that license for a service member, a veteran, or their spouse, which is just awesome, and another way that Michigan is stepping up to serve those who've served us. There's service disabled veteran-owned pricing preferences for veteran-owned businesses doing business with the state of Michigan. Within state government, there's hiring preference for veterans. I have the Veterans Internship Program on here through the Department of Transportation, where they assist veterans by bringing them on in paid internship programs to develop skills, and hopefully that will lead to career opportunities. So those are just a few of the employment benefits at the state level. Next slide. Education, we also have a VetFriendly Schools program where we do similar. I won't read through the whole slide, but certify different institutions of higher education on bronze, silver, and status and the way they support and grow their veteran student body. Next slide. There were 63 for this academic year, and we have a dashboard. If you go to our website at michigan.gov/MBAA, you can click on different things like which have veteran-specific career services or academic performance tracking, military credit equivalency programs, things like that. Next slide. Also in education, there's at the state level, a Children of Veterans Tuition Grant Program, a grant for hired disabled or catastrophically disabled veterans. And there's great search tools out there. I mentioned Veterans Employment Services that houses the state approving agency. That's the body in government that approves the different programs for GI Bill use throughout the state. And as you can see on the map, there's a tool where you can search by program or by institution for where a veteran can use their GI Bill. Next slide. Quality of life, again, this is by no means all inclusive, but in that Department of Natural Resources has various benefits and programs for veterans. There's property tax exemptions for 100% disabled veterans. There's license plates with veteran designators, driver's license. There's treatment courts throughout the state for veterans facing legal challenges in certain circumstances. They can go through a special court system designed for veterans. The Attorney General's office puts out a legal resource guide for military and veterans. We've taken a pride and passion in launching at the agency a She is a Veteran campaign to bring to light a number of women who have served, and recognizing that every veteran looks different. And you might know who those veterans are in your life, but there could be people that you don't even know if they served. And also bringing light to those caregivers, those veteran caregivers throughout Michigan, those hidden heroes. We partner closely with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, a national organization that does incredible work in that area. And we believe that, as I mentioned at the beginning of my remarks, supporting the family is just like the service. It is not a one-person show, it is a family show, and we believe that in being a veteran as well. And then we launched earlier, actually I think it was last year, a Check on My Vet program, where if you go to our website and enter some brief demographic information and contact information, we'll reach out to you and do a benefits and resources checkup as a veteran, or we'll reach out to the veteran in your life if they want to hear from us. We just need some very brief information and contact, and we'll check in with them to make sure they're connected to the benefits and resources earned in service. Next slide. Healthcare as well. We have a robust veteran navigators program throughout the state of Michigan. Those folks work out of the prepaid inpatient health centers, health plans throughout the state to connect veterans to mental health and housing and substance use and abuse resources throughout the state. And also a gem, I believe, in the state of Michigan are our veteran homes. I used to work at the facilities in Grand Rapids and Marquette, and then was the administrator up in Marquette. But these are skilled nursing facilities for veterans and their loved ones in Grand Rapids, Marquette, and now down in Southeast Michigan. Very excited about, just opened earlier this year. And these are, if you haven't seen the facilities, specifically the new one in Grand Rapids and the new one in Chesterfield, they are just an investment in our veteran community. Tens of millions of dollars invested in Chesterfield Township and tens of millions in Grand Rapids in these facilities that are, these are not shelters. These are destinations for veterans needing long-term skilled nursing care. And they're incredible. And I encourage, if you haven't seen those, to make it a point to go online and take a look, or drive by and see them in person. Next slide. These are just some of the images of the new facilities and for these skilled nursing care facilities for veterans, the state veteran homes. As you can see, a lot of money invested by the federal government as well as state government for veterans here in Michigan. And I can't honestly speak enough on how incredible they are. Next slide. There's also, of course, emergency assistance resources. The Michigan Veterans Trust Fund is there specifically for that purpose, as one example, helping wartime era veterans with money set aside post-World War II that helps veterans facing an unforeseen financial emergent hardship by giving grants out to address it, from mortgage payments to utilities to transportation issues to you name it. Next slide. How do you connect to benefits and resources? There's many ways. We love it when people call and reach out to us, but we also know that serving veterans is not an effort centralized in Lansing, Michigan. It takes community. It takes people in all areas. There's county veteran counselors out there. The Michigan Veterans Coalition is out there. The VFW, the Vietnam Veterans of America, the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, providing all of those, providing accredited veteran service officers to assist veterans where they work and live. Next slide. There's veteran community action teams. This is kind of how the state is broken up for our purposes, recognizing it's not perfect, but there's veteran community action teams that serve as resource hubs throughout the state, connecting veterans to resources and benefits, and welcoming veterans and veteran stakeholders or anybody who cares about veterans into their group and community to better the lives of veterans where they work and live. Our community outreach and regional engagement or CORE initiative aims to work closely with those VCATs through community engagement officers, buddy-to-buddy veteran mentorship, and a speakers bureau that will give presentations to groups throughout the state or within K through 12 schools to talk about the military and veteran experience. I talked on Check on My Vet, but I guess if I leave with nothing else, it's call us and know that we're here as a resource to connect you. Next slide. That's our number, 800-MISH-VET, 642-4838, michigan.gov/MVAA. You can search us online. We recently transitioned websites, but it's michigan.gov/MVAA. And we're here 24/7. We have techs that work normal business days, but we work with 211 who take our calls after hours. And then we follow up if it's veteran specific and that question can't be answered, we follow up the next day, because we really believe in that connectedness through partnership and closing the loop, ensuring veterans are taken care of. Next slide. That's our information. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can call us. You can get on our website and enter Check on My Vet form. We'll follow up with you. And whatever that is, however you reach us, I encourage you to plug in, because even if it's not you as a veteran that might need support or assistance or be looking for something, by plugging into resources around you and being familiar with where's what and who's who, you could make a difference in the life of a veteran who needs it. And at this time, I think I went a little over, but I welcome any questions, Courtney and team.
Ryan, thank you so much for sharing these details and information about what's happening at the Michigan Veteran Affairs Agency. So we're going to start with the Q&A. And again, for all who are watching, if you have not yet done so, please put your questions in the Q&A box or on the comment section on Facebook. Our first question we have from Facebook is, if we work at a new nonprofit that serves veterans, can we get you information to have it available as a resource in Michigan for veterans?
Yes, absolutely. You can send it to our resource service center. You can call them at 800-MISH-VET. You can send it to, I'll type this in, but it's MVAA resource center at michigan.gov, I believe, but I'm going to put my email in here just to make sure, and you can send it to me directly and I'll make sure it gets there. We welcome that. We serve all of Michigan's counties, of course, and it's hard to know everything in every community that everybody is doing well, and we strive to, but when people call us and let us know, it helps us serve those who've served also. So absolutely.
Ryan, thank you so much for that. And again, for all who are watching, Ryan's going to put that information into the chat. Our next question, Ryan, is more about mental health. We have someone asking, can you talk about some of the resources available to veterans and their families who may be struggling with grief, PTSD, and other aspects of their mental health as we approach the holiday season?
I can, absolutely. I think it's, there's many resources out there. Some I highlighted very briefly in my presentation. I can't stomp my foot or emphasize enough how important and relevant groups like the Veteran Navigators in community mental health centers throughout the state and elsewhere are. Their specific purpose is to help veterans get connected to those mental health resources they need. Of course, the vet centers through the Veterans Health Administration in many communities throughout the state are, there with counselors and resources as well. The Veteran Crisis Line for veterans in crisis is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Press 1. Truthfully, I don't have that number memorized, but I would advise you, as I do, to keep it in my phone as a saved contact. So whenever I'm working with a veteran, I know I have it on both my work and my personal devices. So there's many resources out there. And I guess for family members or those veterans that might be unsure, I would just share to encourage you to get connected and seek those resources. I struggled for a long time post-service. I'm an Afghanistan veteran who it took me a long time to maybe realize that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And it changed my life when I realized I was and sought the resources and help I needed. And I encourage all veterans to do that.
Ryan, thank you so much for sharing your story and your transparency. And again, that information regarding the Veteran Crisis Hotline is in the chat for those who are watching. And at this time, again, that's all the questions we have for today. Ryan, thank you so much for being here with us. We have a few more updates to share before we close things out. So again, we thank you for attending today and sharing those information for our veterans. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Hey, thank you, Courtney, and happy Veterans Day to all those who've served.
Indeed, thank you so much. For everyone, as a reminder, for anyone in our community who may be experiencing a need, our 211 helpline remains available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We maintain a running list of available services in the community and can connect you to the support that you need. You can also look up resources in your area by using our 211 resource directory at unitedwaysem.org/211. Having trouble paying or receiving rent? The state of Michigan has federal funds available to help tenants facing pandemic-related hardships avoid eviction, while also ensuring landlords can recoup owed rent through the COVID Emergency Rental Assistance (SERA) program. To learn more about the SERA program at Michigan, please go to michigan.gov/SERA, CERA, or call 211 to get connected with an agency that can help you apply. Next week at our What's the Word Wednesday Town Hall, we'll be joined by the Ruth Ellis Center in celebration of Trans Awareness Week, and they'll be sharing information on programs and resources to support the LGBTQIA youth and young adults. To see our previous town halls and to sign up for email updates on upcoming town halls, please visit unitedwaysem.org/virtual town halls. The website is also included in the chat box. Everyone, thank you so much for attending. We will see you soon. Stay safe and continue to live united.